This is Omni Knoweth, also known as EHLO. In this video, I'll show you how Magic SMTP works. We'll deploy a live server and send a test email. I'm logging into Magic SMTP. I'm going to deploy the email infrastructure and send a live test email for you to see. In this demonstration, this is our website. Let's scroll down. Here you can see our plans and pricing. You'll also find our contact details. Alright, I'll log in now. This is the demo account that I created for demonstration purposes, so I'll sign in. This is the dashboard. The current plan is Magic SMTP Starter Pro. The maximum number of servers allowed is 2. For domains, we have 40. And we have 513 IP addresses available. There is already an existing server on this account. We also have 2 demo domains configured. The first step is to navigate to servers. As you can see, you can import servers. You can download a sample CSV file, and this is another sample format. You can export your servers. You can select and export specific servers only. You can also delete selected servers. Additionally, you can delete a single server. You can edit and deploy. I'll use the Add Server option. This single Add Server button is sufficient since I'm adding 1 server. There's no need to import. Importing is only required when adding multiple servers. Now I'll name the server. Let me quickly enter the details. There's no need to pause. Alright. Demo workings. Next, I'll enter the hostname. The hostname is the primary IP address of the server. Alright. I'll return to the form. I'll input it here. The username is always root. Here is the password. Root. I'll enter the password and click Add Server. Once I click Add Server, before the server is added, the system validates the credentials to confirm they are correct and the server is reachable. Now I'll click Add Server and wait. The server has been added successfully. This confirms the host is accessible. The port is open and the credentials are valid. Now, the next step is to navigate to Manage IPS. Select the server demo workings. As you can see, the total IP addresses currently show 0. There are 0 deployed IPS, undeployed IPS, and primary IPS listed. Now I'll proceed to extract. I can manually add IPS or extract the server IPS. If I click extract, it will retrieve. The IP address is currently configured on the server. If necessary, you can add it from the UI. I have a separate tutorial for customers that explains how to use this feature in detail. Now, I'll extract the IPs to see how many are available. This one is just a local IP, so I'll remove it. We now have one IP, which is the primary IP. I purchased an additional IP address, but it has not yet been added to the server. Here is the additional IP address. I'll copy it. Then I'll click Add. I'll paste it. The interface is at 0. Then I'll click Add IP. Now, as you can see, the IP is currently in pending status. That means it must be deployed. I'll proceed to deploy it. If I wanted to deploy multiple IPs, I would select them accordingly. I'll click Deploy. I'll select and deploy. Now I'll click on the single deploy. The process has started. I'm waiting. It is currently in progress. Let's wait. Now, we continue waiting. The IP has been deployed successfully. The status has changed to active. To confirm that the IP address is truly on the server, I will temporarily delete it from the software database only. Delete selected. I am not removing it from the server. I have only deleted it from the software database. If I wanted to remove it from the server, I would click on Deploy instead. Now I'll click Extract Server IPs. Next, I'll refresh the page. Let me refresh and verify the server. Demo workings. Loading. The IP address is not appearing yet. It's not visible, so I'll investigate. There was an issue while attempting to deploy the IP address. I had to resolve the issue. It took several hours because different server providers use different network configurations. Now, as you can see, I added the required warning and enabled the detected network mode. I was troubleshooting this for about 5 hours. Fortunately, everything is working properly now. This IP address is already listed here. I added another IP address to my provider's account. Here's what I'm going to do next. I obtained an additional IP address. So that I can deploy it. Live in this video. I'll add the IP as usual. As you can see, it is pending. Now I'll click on Extract Server IPs to confirm that this IP address is not yet in the server. It is not currently attached. Extract. As you can see, this IP address is not attached to the server. Because after clicking Extract Server IPs, it would appear as active if deployed. I'll delete it. And then extract again. Now you can see the updated state. I'll add it again. I'll add it. The next step is to deploy it to the server. I'll click Deploy. It is currently in progress. You'll see the success message shortly. The status will change from pending to active once deployment is complete. Now I'll delete it from the database. From the database only. I am deleting it from the Magic SMTP database, not from the server. Now I'll click Extract Server IPs. 2. Confirm that the last IP deployment was successful. As you can see, I'll mark this as primary. I'll delete this one since it is a local IP. Now, we have a total of 3 IP addresses attached to this server. As mentioned earlier, you can add a single IP address. Select the interface, or even add multiple IPs. To add multiple IPs, simply paste them here. Now, if you want to add an IP range, for example, a full block of IPs, a 24 block contains 256 IP addresses. A 24 range provides 256 total IP addresses. You would enter it here. For example, 192.168.1.0, 24. However, ensure that the IPs are assigned to you. The IP addresses must be properly allocated and attached to your server by your provider. Then select the interface and click Add Range. That's it. Now the next step is to deploy the server. Let's proceed with deployment. We'll deploy the server now. As you can see, we'll click Deploy. This will install the MTA, Mail Transfer Agent, and configuration packs. We'll also install the UI, which is the user interface. This is the API secret key for the UI. I built this UI specifically for KumoMTA. You can search for KumoMTA online. and you'll see that it is a powerful email delivery engine. If you prefer not to install MyUI, which allows you to monitor statistics, queues, and performance in real time, including delivery status and error messages, you can simply uncheck it. Otherwise, leave it enabled. If you prefer not to use this API key, you can manually input your own or regenerate one. The key generated by Magic SMTP is secure. It is automatically integrated and sufficiently strong for production use. It will meet standard security requirements. Now, for the UI hostname, you need to enter your chosen domain. Once entered, point it to your primary IP address via DNS. After DNS propagation, when you visit it, you'll see the KumoMTA UI built. It provides a complete monitoring interface. Now I'll proceed using this domain. This is the domain I'll use. Alright. Configuration is complete. As you can see, it has been updated. Now I'll click Start Deployment. Please wait a few seconds. KumoMTA deployment started successfully. I'm now redirected to the deployment details page. As shown, these are the deployment logs. Next, log into your server via SSH. The installation will begin automatically. I use Bitwise as my SSH client. Bitwise allows me to use FTP. FTP and an SSH terminal simultaneously. That's why I prefer Bitwise. It's very efficient. To save time, I've already stored the server credentials. Now I'll log in. This is the SFTP panel. If you need to edit files, you can edit root files or any other files here if needed. However, that's not what I intend to do. I want to connect to the server via SSH. This is the terminal session I'll use. The server is ready. KumoMTA installation will begin once you log in via SSH. This is the SSH terminal. As you can see, the installation has started. It is currently in progress. I won't pause this video. I want you to see it live. This way, you won't miss anything. When prompted, type Y and press Enter. Type Y and hit Enter. The installation is still in progress. As you can see, it is installing UI dependencies. Installation completed successfully. The process has finished. The next step is to configure DNS. Now, let's navigate to DNS management. I've already added my account. Let me open DNS management. I've integrated my Cloudflare account. Correction, under DNS providers. Currently, we support Cloudflare and Hetzner DNS integration. This allows automatic publishing of DNS records. Alternatively, you can use manual DNS configuration. If your provider is not listed, you can copy the generated records and paste them into your DNS provider manually. Here you can see the manual DNS option. This is where you add your Cloudflare or Hetzner account, or any future supported provider. We'll continue expanding integrations. I've already added Cloudflare. You'll need your account name and API token. I have a separate video showing how to generate your API token. That tutorial is available. The next step is to add your Cloudflare account. I've already added mine. Now let's go to Manage Domains. Before adding a domain, I want to show you something. Take a look here. Let me refresh the page. You can see the account email. This is the account. There's currently no Magic MTA domain listed. No Magic MTA configuration exists yet, as you can see clearly. Now, let's add the Magic MTA domain. I can assign it to any server, or add it without assignment. Assignment is flexible. You can assign it later at any time. All options are available. For now, I'll select it here. Then I'll click Add Domains. Now, you can add multiple domains simultaneously. For this demonstration, we're adding one domain. Configuration method, manual. Server assignment, demo workings. This is the assigned server name. Assignment is optional, but recommended. I strongly recommend assigning domains to servers for easier filtering and better organization within the platform. It improves management efficiency. Now here's the next step. We want to publish this domain directly to our DNS provider. Let me refresh again, so you can confirm that no Magic domain exists yet. As shown, now I'll go back. Returning. Next, I'll click DNS. Cloudflare Global DNS. KumoMTA is the integrated account. This account was added under DNS providers. Now I'll click Add to Cloudflare. Please wait a few seconds. Processing. Domain added to Cloudflare successfully. As shown here. Now I'll return to Cloudflare. It refreshed automatically. You can now see Magic MTA. I'll refresh manually for confirmation. Manual refresh. The domain is present. Magic SMTP is now listed. However, it shows invalid name servers. I need to update the name servers. At my domain registrar, where I registered the domain name. Returning now. You can see it is pending. The status is pending in Cloudflare. Because the name servers are invalid, activation has not occurred yet. Once you update the name servers and propagation completes, the status will change to active. The system automatically monitors this. You can also click DNS to verify setup, or remove the domain from DNS directly. If you click Remove, it will prompt, "Are you sure?" to confirm domain removal from Cloudflare. I'll cancel. Now I'll click Verify Setup. Domain verification failed. Please ensure the name servers are correctly configured, as indicated. The next step is to update the domain name servers. I will do that, but I won't demonstrate it live in this video. Now, the next step is to proceed with deployment. Before proceeding with deployment, I mean deploying the KumoMTA configurations. We have already deployed the MTA itself and the configuration packs. However, we still need to define our own settings, such as SMTP credential generation and related parameters. In other words, SMTP login credentials and associated settings. This includes the username, password, and related details. These login credentials are essential. We will also attach the hostname and generate DKIM, SPF, and other required records. Now we'll move to the KumoMTA manager. But first, I needed to update the domain. Once the domain propagated successfully, I continued recording. Now, let's confirm the domain has propagated. We'll go back to Manage Domains. You can see the status is active. This means the connection between my domain and Cloudflare is now active. DNS is functioning correctly. Let's verify directly in Cloudflare. I'll refresh the Cloudflare dashboard. Refreshing the page. It now shows as active. Returning to the platform. Back to the domain's homepage. Now, you can see Magic SMTP is active. Let's proceed. Next, you'll notice PMTA is marked as deprecated. We no longer support PMTA. It will be removed from the codebase. Over time, I'll remove it completely from the software. It will be phased out. Now, let's go to KumoMTA Manager. This configuration is for a single server deployment. If you want to deploy to multiple servers, you can select multiple servers here. You can deploy to up to 5 servers simultaneously. Select the servers. Then assign the domain. You can choose multiple domains or a single domain. For this example, we're using a single server, so I'll return to KumoMTA Manager. Select the server. Demo walk-ins, we're selecting one domain. The other domains listed are not relevant here. Now I'll click Continue to Configuration. First, enter your SMTP username. Alternatively, click Generate. I'll generate it. I prefer the software to generate it. Next, generate the SMTP password. This is the pool name, which is very important. The pool name is critical because this pool name identifies your IP rotation group. If you have multiple IP addresses, you must define a pool. That pool will contain the assigned IP addresses. Magic SMTP automatically handles the configuration. You simply configure the inputs, as demonstrated here. Next, select IPs. Choose the IP addresses you want to use. Then click at Selected IPs. You can manually define a source name, which is very important. The source name is critical. For routing, it will be used in configuration mappings. Again, Magic SMTP handles all automation. Simply click Generate. No coding is required. The logic is already built in. Just follow the workflow as demonstrated. Click Generate for all fields, or generate individually if preferred. You can also input values manually. However, I prefer auto-generation. It is faster and more efficient. Now generate all sources. Then generate host names. Each IP must have its own host name. Every IP address requires a unique host name. Now, generate all host names. The system has generated random host names. Note that magicmta.com is the domain. You can see the base domain here. Now, regarding wait. Wait controls IP selection behavior. For example, during IP warm-up, you can adjust wait values. The mail transfer agent will select IP addresses based on assigned wait. For example, if all weights are set equally, traffic is distributed evenly. If you increase weight on specific IPs, they receive more traffic. Lower weight means reduced sending volume. If an IP is still warming up, assign it a lower weight. This ensures limited sending volume. If another IP is fully warmed and stable, assign it higher weight. That way, KumoMTA prioritizes it. You are essentially controlling volume distribution. This allows strategic IP warm-up. Now, for this setup, all IPs are new, so we'll warm them simultaneously. I'll keep weight equal for now. We can adjust weights later. Next, select your DNS provider. If you've added Cloudflare and want records to publish automatically, select Cloudflare here. If using it in a DNS, select Hetzner. If your provider is not listed, choose Manual and configure records yourself. Once successful, you'll be able to copy your DNS details from the manual DNS interface. However, since we are using configure it automatically, I'll select the Cloudflare account. The system supports multiple Cloudflare accounts. If you sign up, you can add as many accounts as needed. For example, if you're handling multiple client projects or server setups for different customers, you can manage their Cloudflare accounts individually. Each account can be named for easy identification. Simply assign a label so you can recognize it easily. Now, generate DKIM by clicking Generate. You can also check the DKIM status if required. Click here to verify. However, clicking Generate is sufficient. There's no need to install anything additional. DKIM is already installed on the server as part of the deployment. What you're generating is the DKIM selector. This is known as the DKIM selector record. Now generate SPF. Next, check for existing SPF records. Let's verify if any are present. As shown, there are no existing email-related DNS records for this Magic SMTP domain. Let's confirm. Checking DNS records. There are no records configured, including SPF. You can also verify this without logging into Cloudflare, using the built-in DNS manager within Magic SMTP. I'll demonstrate that later. For now, let's proceed with deploying the MTA configuration. Before that, let me show you something important. I'll quickly navigate to the server so you can see the current state. I'll navigate directly to KumoMTA. Inside the etc directory, you'll see that no credentials exist yet. Once we deploy this configuration, you'll see an auth.toml file appear here. Currently, the client's directory is empty. DKIM is also empty. Another DKIM.toml file will appear after deployment. Nothing has been deployed yet. We're about to do that now. Next, generate DMARC. Enter a reporting email address. Use any valid email address. Add a valid reporting email of your choice. Now generate DMARC. If an existing SPF record is detected, the system will show a preview. You can choose to merge it or replace it. If you uncheck Merge, the system will remove the old SPF record and replace it entirely. However, I strongly recommend keeping Merge enabled. This ensures existing records are combined safely. Now proceed to review configuration. All IPS and DNS settings are configured correctly. If anything is missing, the system will notify you. We have 3 IPS configured and Cloudflare selected. Now click Deploy Configuration. Your username, pool, and DKIM are shown. Passwords are hidden for security reasons. Everything is correctly configured. Click Deploy Configuration. Configuration deployed successfully. Now navigate to Background Jobs to monitor progress. The configuration is pending. We use background workers instead of the web process. To avoid execution timeouts, web execution can time out due to PHP execution limits. Using cron jobs ensures reliable processing. This allows you to continue working while the configuration runs in the background. Refresh the page. Status: completed. Click View to inspect details. The job completed with a minor error. An identical record already exists. This is not critical. Now, let's verify the DNS records. Checking now. From here, I'll open Cloudflare DNS. Select the domain. Then select the server. Choose the domain to verify. Everything is present. All DNS records are correctly published. The record for the hostname is live. We also have DMARC configured. And DKIM is correctly published. SPF is also configured properly. You can manage records directly from this interface. Without logging into Cloudflare, click Add Record. Select the record type. You can proxy or unproxy records. For example, this record should not be proxied. Some record types must remain unproxied. If I enable proxy temporarily and save, you'll see the change reflected. Refresh the records page. The changes match what we see here. Now I'll disable proxy again. And save. Everything is functioning correctly. Let me refresh. You can see the dkm_data.toml file is now present. Opening it. Here you'll find your SMTP username and password. However, this duplicate entry is an error. This should not happen. I'll remove the duplicate entry. Saving changes. The SMTP credentials should not duplicate. Now it's corrected. I'll address the underlying issue later. Now let's check clients. This configuration is correct. Here you can see the pool name, the generated source, and the host name. This host name is also used as the EHLO domain. This is what connects to the receiving ISP. KumoMTA handles this automatically. Now let's review DKIM. You can see the selector, the private key, and the public DNS record. Everything is correctly generated. Before testing, let me show you additional features. We have multi-server support, as mentioned earlier. We have ports. Here you can configure SMTP listener ports. For example, the default port is 25. You can add multiple listener ports. You can also configure maximum messages per connection and connection limits. You can define as many listeners as required. Next, KumoMTA actions. You can add additional user credentials, IP addresses, or host names. Now for KumoMTA upgrade. You can check for updates here. Select servers and upgrade them simultaneously. You can verify the current version. I am currently running the latest version. If a newer version is available, it will be highlighted in green instead of the current blue indicator. If available, select and upgrade. You can toggle between table view and list view. Finally, server actions become available once you log in. Next, let's go to firewall. We need to confirm whether a firewall is installed. This is critical. If it isn't installed, you must install it. On this server, the firewall is not installed. It's not installed. It is very important for protection. Click Install Firewall. Installing now. Status checked successfully. It is still inactive. Let me check. Status checked successfully. Let me confirm what's happening. I'll be right back. The issue was on the server itself, not within the Magic SMTP hub. There were server-side issues. I troubleshot and resolved it. If you encounter any issues, installing the firewall or activating it, open a support ticket. I'll troubleshoot it for you. This is not a software issue. It is not a Magic SMTP issue. It is strictly a server issue. Some providers behave this way. They may have restrictions or internal policies that require manual adjustment. That's the main point. Now the firewall is enabled, which is essential. However, there are no open ports, so here's what we'll do. We'll add our ports, for example, port 25. Port 25 is what we'll use for testing, because that's what we specified in our KumoMTA configuration. That is the only port configured right now. You can add more ports to your configuration. After updating the KumoMTA, you must come back here and open those same ports in the firewall. They must match on both sides. Now I'll click Add Ports. You can add multiple ports at once. Just separate them with commas. Now, as you can see, it has been added. Let me refresh the page. Refreshing. You can see it here now. It is visible. Now, let's move forward. Now that our ports are open, we can proceed to test. Before testing, I need to set up PTR records, also known as reverse DNS. I'll do that in my provider account. I'll configure it in my provider account, so I won't show it in this video. Your PTR records must match what we have here. They must align with the host names, clients. Edit. If you're new to bulk emailing and you're learning through Magic SMTP, and you don't know how to set PTR records in your provider account, open a support ticket. I'll guide you through it. Now we need to configure PTR records for each IP address. Each PTR must point to the host name, and the host name should resolve correctly. This should match the host names in the configuration. That's what I'm going to do now. I'll be right back. Now let's test. First, we'll check the current reverse DNS, also called PTR records. Reverse lookup. No records are published. As you can see, nothing is published yet. I'll set it up, then we'll check again. I'll be right back. Now let's check again. I have updated the reverse DNS. Now, let me run the reverse lookup. As you can see, it has been updated properly. Updated. You can see it here. Reverse DNS is correctly set. Let's check another one. Yes. Let's check this one. As you can see, it's correct. Now let's proceed to test our SMTP connection. Let's confirm everything. Now we need to test. Alright. I need to test. I created an account. In my MailWizz application, I use MailWizz. It works best for my workflow. It's a strong email sending application. Now, I've already created an account. I created a list with no subscribers yet. Now I'll go to delivery servers. I added a dummy server earlier, but the credentials were incorrect. That's why it shows as inactive. Now we'll make it active. Now, let's proceed. Authentication. Edit. Now the username. Make sure your username is the primary IP address. It must be the server's primary IP. Use the primary IP address. And this is your primary email address. Now the password. Copy the password. We'll add a feature to store passwords in the future, so you can save it. Inside Magic SMTP, and copy it without logging into the server. So, you won't need to access root files directly. We plan to implement this soon, so copying credentials will be much easier. Now we have the password. For context, I recorded this on February 6th. This is February 6th as I'm recording. Now change the port to 2525. That's the only port we're using for now. Now, from name, we can leave this as it is. Next, we need to update the domain settings. We need to replace this with the actual domain name. What is our domain in Magic MTA? magicmta.com. Reply to must match as well. Next is tracking. We need to configure tracking. I set this randomly for the demo to save time. Now let me add tracking properly. I'll proceed to add the tracking domain. The tracking domain must point to this target. I'll add it quickly here. You can add it through the application as well, but I'll do it here for speed. See a name record. Is it Lira? Yes, Lira. Now the target. You can proxy it if you want. That's fine if you enable proxy. Now, here's why this matters. If you use a tracking domain for your email marketing application and you don't set the correct DNS record, you will get tracking errors. You may see open tracking errors and click tracking errors, unless you are not using tracking domains. If you're not tracking opens or clicks, you can ignore this. But if you are tracking, configure it correctly. Also, I recommend using a dedicated tracking subdomain. Do not track directly on your main app domain. I don't recommend that, because it can be blacklisted. If it gets blacklisted, you can replace the tracking subdomain easily. For example, if lira.magicmta.com is blacklisted, that is safer than using your main domain. Avoid using your core application for tracking directly. That's the point. Now let's continue. Next, review your hourly and daily quotas. You can reduce them if needed. This is just a demo. You can also adjust connection and message limits. Now click Save. Next, you need to verify your server. So, I'll enter the email address and verify it. I won't show the verification mailbox address. I won't display the verification email address. Now I'll click Validate Server. Clicking Validate Server. It's not completing. As you can see, it is very slow. So it won't work yet. If the details were correct, it should have. Send the validation email immediately. The validation email should have been sent, but it is still loading, so we need to fix something. I'll restart the KumoMTA services. I need to restart the KumoMTA server. I'll restart it now. Restarting now. Now let me check the status. It is active. Now I'll try again. Retrying now. This is my first time using this provider, so I won't mention the name. I'm not familiar with their defaults. I just wanted to test something. I discovered they blocked port 25. They have a separate firewall policy that blocks port 25. This applies to their IPS and their servers. However, you can allow the port or remove the policy in your account. I checked their portal, and because I have experience, I knew what to look for. I reviewed the policy settings and saw that my port was not allowed. So I added it, tested again, and it worked. Now let's test again. Validate server. You can see it. Now I'll check my inbox. I'll confirm it from the mailbox. Now I'll proceed. You have successfully confirmed the server. Now that we have confirmed it, here's what I'm going to do next. Now, let's send test emails. Let's send a test email. I've already prepared a standard campaign to save time. Alright. I can choose a tracking domain if needed. I'll select the delivery server, then click Save and Next. Next, I'll open Mail Tester. We'll test the email delivery to confirm the configuration is correct. If anything is misconfigured, Mail Tester will flag it. A 10/10 score typically means everything is correct. Now let's send the test. Send test. Let me point out something important. Do you see this? This is the Kumo UI. You must configure the record. The record must point to your primary IP address. If you rewind to where I deployed the server, you'll see the server page, where I added kumo.magicmta.com. magicmta.com. So you need to set the record there. I configured it off camera. Without it, you won't be able to access the monitoring interface, where you can see live statistics, queued messages, and more. Now, let's continue and check the score. Now check your score. 7 out of 10. As you can see, we have an issue. Let me review it. It says, we didn't find a mail server. A mail server record is very important. A mail server is essential. It hasn't been added in our platform yet. We will add it into the software. Once I end this video, I'll add it there. You can also set up a mail server through the platform to avoid this. This isn't a major issue, but it should be fixed, so let's correct it. Here's what I'll do. I'll add it. You have the option to install a mail server while deploying the configuration. I'll add it. I'll add it after this video, but I'll show you quickly. I'll do it right here. Add. First, mail. Make sure proxying is disabled, then click Save. 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 Then, add the MX2. Now we have mail. Magic MTA. Then we have 10. Now let's retest. Let's retest. We don't need to resend, it's now 10/10. I didn't even need to resend. It automatically rechecked the configuration and detected that the changes were already applied. It updated automatically without resending. It revalidated the setup automatically. As you can see, it's 10/10. So yes, Magic SMTP delivers. It works extremely well. This video may run long because I'm teaching as we go. But in practice, deployment is much faster. It should not take anywhere near an hour. To deploy a single server, install the MTA, deploy the configuration, and begin sending. So this is solid. Now let's check the source. The source is coming from IP 127. Now I'll send another test so it rotates. You'll see A different IP send the next email. Now let's check again. Zero minutes ago. Now let's check the IP address used. As you can see, it rotated, so you can see reverse DNS. Hello and SPF are all passing. Normally, you'd be copying and pasting everything manually. But as long as your server is solid and your provider isn't blocking port 25 or other required
you'll
ports,
be fine.
If port 25 is blocked outbound, contact your provider and request that they unblock it. If port 25 is blocked, you will not be able to send emails. You may only be able to receive, not send. Now you can see SPF and DKIM are working. Normally, you would configure SPF manually, DKIM manually, DMARC manually, and even the records manually. All these records you're seeing here would normally be handled
Imagine
one by
deploying
20 servers. That manual workflow becomes exhausting. That's why we built Magic SMTP to remove the stress and reduce errors. That will be all for now. Thank you. If there's anything you want me to cover, or any feature you want to see in the platform, create an account and explore it. Sign up with us. Create an account on magicsmtp.com. Scroll down and start with the 7-day free trial. The trial is free for 7 days, then it's $97 per month. We also offer a discount if you pay annually. This is our contact page. You can also access the frequently asked questions. Alright. Thank you very much. That will be all for now. See you.